Hey guys, this is. Oh. Hey guys, this is James.
We should just leave that in. I'm just not even worried about it. Whatever. What up, weirdos? It's your boy Denny.
It's your boy James.
Yeah.
TeaDB.
Starting off strong again. I'm gonna just preemptively apologize. What episode are we on? 216.
216.
Preemptively apologize for being a little bit blood up with allergies.
You guys might recognize that from a few previous episodes.
Is that gonna stay there? Got it. No, we don't got it. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna be drinking the Xiaguan Xiao.
Yeah, and this one is a little bit
special.
different from the other ones because this one is very old.
So we just 80s is the general.
Yeah, supposedly from the 80s. And this was given as a very generous gift from Bev at Listening to Leaves Blogspot. So big thank you to Bev. She gave us a very generous amount of this, which I'm looking forward to trying. I'm especially looking forward to trying this with Denny, because Denny, as you guys know from previous episodes, has consumed a few of these.
Quite a few.
But none from the 80s.
That is also true. A little bit more here. We're definitely eyeballing the amounts here. This is an extremely forgiving tea, at least in the versions that I've drank, so I'm assuming that the age will only make that even better. We're going to brew this in some, is this Yixing?
Yep,
Okay.
some clay, so keep that heat in a little bit more.
Not that we really need it, it's already hot today, but I think it'll bring out some loveliness from this tea. And this is kind of a special treat. This is an uncommon thing to do, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to find one of your favorite teas and then be like, oh, I'm going to go back in time 20 years or whatever and give it a shot. So this is definitely a treat. Again, thank you, Bev, for the... Oh, that's right, this teacup. It's a little bit weird. I always forget. Your pots you have to sometimes poke.
Yeah,
they can get stuck.
Yeah, sometimes there are little tea particles that get lodged in them.
Yep. Although it does create a long pour,
which is less of an issue for a tea like this.
Right. Smells like the original. Smells great.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to hear your take on this. On this tea, just because you are far more familiar with the modern version. Just to hear how it's changed, how it's aged throughout the years. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm excited. So we'll start with basically a flash steeping, and as you guys noticed, that steeping that we just did, it did take a second to actually go all the way. This is already getting up really nice and hot. Holy smokes! So, yeah. Looking forward to this.
So the tea color is not quite as dark as you would expect. So maybe a product of slightly less leaves? Hard to say. Maybe it's still opening up. I'm not sure.
I think it definitely is. It actually is pretty compressed. And
yeah, it looks like it's opening up. I think that's the main...
Still not very much volume in there. But, decent color. This will be a lighter steeping. And... what's the milliliters on this pot? I feel like it's pretty big.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the bigger vessels I use. It's 150, 140.
Got it.
So,
got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, you can sort of see the tea swirls going around in your cup already.
I know. This is going to be hot as F. Do we swear on this show?
I don't know.
We definitely do.
We're figuring this out on episode 216. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Really sweet beginning. I'm trying hard not to burn myself. Nice. I wouldn't call it I don't know. It's got that sort of like cherry bark molassesy sweetness going on. Tastes really similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But smoother. The sweetness, it's light texturally still. We're not going to be getting into the thick of it, so to speak, until couple steepings in here. So, but already, starting off, first off, it doesn't taste gross. That's one big piece, right? If you store something wrong, you're like, this is 20,
That's true.
30, 30-ish years old or something like that, so as old as I am. But if you store it incorrectly, it's going to taste like a swamp goober.
And not the good kind of swamp.
Not the good swamp goober.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. It's like if you have there's less that can go wrong if you're drinking new tea. If you're drinking a 30-year-old tea and it's not well stored, there's a lot of bad stuff that you could consume if it is indeed poorly stored.
Indeed.
So I noticed here that you're not quite filling the Yixing all the way to the top. So I think Denny's trying to get a little bit of stronger brew here. And we can tell immediately that the color is going to be a little bit darker, at least. Brewing up a really nice reddish color.
And brewing this way is going to really, will really cool it down a fair amount. This is really hot. But yeah, James is right. This has gotten much darker already. And that's because, again, it's sitting in a really warm vessel that's getting continuous heat applied to the tea leaves.
Yep.
And they've been soaked. So let's take a look inside.
And something like an old ripe pour can really take these hard heat.
You still have plenty of hard. I mean, it's definitely not all the way opened up yet, so we're going to get more development in there.
So you could definitely tell that the compression of it was still pretty strong back in the day.
Beautiful aroma.
Some of that cherry sweetness coming
exactly.
off.
All of, getting much darker. Immediately, I went from a pretty orange color there to a nice auburn amber.
Burgundy.
A burgundy, if you will.
Boop. Oh yeah, that is a really pretty color.
Let's keep drinking.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
That texture.
Yeah.
That texture is really nice.
I'm going to say it right now. This tea has not changed that much. I don't think. I think some of raw pu'erhs and some ripes they become so different, with 5 years of age. And this tea, it doesn't even really have that super old flavor in it. It tastes to me like very similar to the production that I've had that's, under 10 years old. But I think it's smoother. I think it has a little bit better balance. Overall, it's not as harsh.
Yeah. And I think you're right about that. I was curious what you would say. That was kind of my initial impression, too. And I think it's been stored under relatively dry conditions. It hasn't
tastes like it.
Like if you had done stored it very humidly, I think you would definitely be able to tell sort of the difference.
I think so too.
This tea has not been.
Yeah. I also think that if it were stored a little bit more humidly, the cake itself would be a little bit less hard. I think that it would slowly open up a little bit.
That's also very true.
And so when I've drank this in the last week, one that's under 10 years old, just from leaving it out on the top of my refrigerator, just to have quick access to it, I have 10 or 15 teas that I kind of always just go to. We're pushing this steeping a little bit here. Those I do not need to pick or anything like that. They just come apart immediately with fairly low pressure. So I think this to me tastes like dry storage, and it just feels like it's a more smooth like balanced version of this tea. And it's cool because this tea was never a tea that I thought was going to be like the craziest, most high quality tea ever. But it's so good that it's like really held up in its age over time, and not turned into a disgusting goober as we just talked about. So, really beautiful color. This I don't think we've already talked about it a bunch, but good color. It's clean, good quality leaf.
Good aroma still on it. So.
This is like the epitome of a really, really decent ripe, in my opinion. With a good value. And I've drank 5 of these already. So let's keep going. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
a little bit more of those sort of like the vanilla-y.
Mm-hmm. Each steep has changed. It's been a bit different, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the sweetness in this tea. It has that like very like barky molassesy sweetness that actually I think so do you think this would pass the mom test? That's a good question.
Whew. I think that very much depends on the mom, actually.
Yeah, okay. Mom dependent.
Mom dependent. I don't know. Pu'erh is a mysterious beast to me.
For sure.
Because to some people it seems just like it's instant love.
Right.
Or like they're very much immediately okay with it. And other people, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really totally figured that out. What about you? What do you think? Would this pass the mom test?
I think it probably would. It'd be something sort of like the reaction would be like, oh. As opposed to like you drink a young raw and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So I think people could, it might not be like their favorite flavor profile, but if you're kind of into food or into new flavors, having the sort of intersection of sweetness and bark might be an interesting experience for someone who's never, really had that flavor profile before.
It has some fermented flavors, but they're pretty not like they're not like as acquired as like I don't know, like a Hong Kong stored raw would be or something like that. They don't smell basement-y or anything like that.
No,
so,
definitely not.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Texture on this is wonderful. There's zero bitterness.
Yeah, so no tannin.
There's no tannin. The bitterness is there's virtually no bitterness at all. This is definitely a tea that I think you'd have to work pretty hard to mess up. And I think that's true of all of the ages that I've had. I haven't had anything that's younger than 4 years on this tea, I don't think. But yeah, it's been this. Maybe now I'm getting just the smallest hint on like the side of my sides of my tongue.
Denny has multiple thumbs.
Yeah, it's confusing. A little, maybe just a hint of a little bit of that sort of tannic, but really not much at all. This is really tasty. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting that it's kind of maintained itself in its consistency. I think it would be kind of weird though, just thinking about it out loud, to have this tea really evolve into something very different.
It would be, and I think you would need to store it more aggressively than this tea has been stored. This tea maintains, like this last tea, I feel like had a lot of that vanilla creaminess to it. Still very much maintains a lot of its original character, I would say.
Right. And when you're talking about storing something aggressively, what does that mean for those folks out there who, that sounds aggressive? Yeah. You frustratingly throw it in the cabinet. What do you mean by that, seriously?
Yeah. Well, I mean more in the sense that you would push the humidity, first of all, and also the temperature.
Right.
I mean, that's something that, that's the way that raw pu'erh, or pu'erh has traditionally been stored, is just sort of pushing the limits as far as this, and it's very much treating tea as sort of like a fermented product. It's a little bit different in the case of ripe pu'erh because it's already fermented, but you could still store it in more humidity, and the tea would change more than wherever this was stored.
So really we're just talking about, in some sense, the kind of biological age of the tea, which sounds weird, but it's true. It's about microbial activity, right? So if you're going to get more action going on in the cake because it's stored in a warmer and more humid environment, it's going to literally age more quickly. Those processes of fermentation will just happen more expediently.
Yeah. And people that advocate dry storage, and this deals more with raw pu'erh than ripe pu'erh, will say that a tea will change to be more complex if you store it more dry and you let that fermentation process occur over a longer period of time.
Right. And you've done some experiments with dry and wet stored pu'erh?
Yeah, but not with my own storage. It's something that takes a long time, and you have to be probably pretty diligent.
But you've done those on the in-between sides.
Yeah, and you can sort of tell from sort of like the dry leaf, the wet leaf. There's a lot of hints. The flavor profile can be different. Obviously, there's a big range of it. You can be somewhere in between dry and wet.
Yep.
As a lot of these go. But yeah, there's a lot of info on storage on TeaDB and other places. So definitely check that out.
That's not gonna work. Let's give this another look and smell. Ooh.
Such a lovely, sweet aroma coming off of this.
Yeah, I really think so. Yeah, I think this is a pretty amenable flavor profile. The sort of brandy, cherry, molassesy, barky vibe. I think people can in general get down with this.
Yeah.
Might not be like a crowd favorite, but someone who's interested enough, sees your tea stuff and is like, this is something that maybe after you pull out an oolong and a white tea, you say, give this a shot and let me know what you think.
Yeah.
And then you finish with the raw pu'erh if they're like really digging it, and then they're like, I made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, raw pu'erh would be the one that would probably not pass very many mom tests. But yeah, I think this one's nice, and you can also stick out your pinky finger and be like 1980s.
That's the most important part of tea drinking, for sure.
Only real reason is to be an asshole. Yeah. Cheers to that, guys.
I think that one thing that does differentiate this tea is that there's a little bit more action going on, and maybe a little bit of a, like James alluded to earlier, I guess it's supposed to mention, a little bit more change in each of these steepings. So the texture is changing a little bit. We just heated up the water, so this will, I think the difference between these two steepings will be a little bit more extreme. But
right. And if you're looking for sort of like a way to adjust the brewing, I think this episode is really good. As you can sort of see, Denny adjusted the brewing after the initial state, which was a little bit light, and just adjusting to the parameters that he was given. So I think a lot of these steeps came out increasingly better as Denny was able to adjust to sort of what was coming out.
Yeah, and that's just experience and experimenting at home. So yeah, and I've been brewing this one tea, 100 times literally. So you get used to it at a certain point and gonna get better at eyeballing. So I think this will be our last steeping, and we'll wrap it up. But cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
I'm getting almost a little bit more of a cacao, not bitter on my tongue per se, but more elements of those sort of bitterer notes. It's almost like the bark has been roasted or something. So this is pretty fun. I'm actually, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised by the evolution of this tea in the cup through, I guess, 6 or so steepings so far. And I think this will go for another 5.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, and then you can really, let this soak overnight if you wanted to. So
so that I would say that's pretty good longevity for a ripe tea. And yeah, I would just echo what Denny said. The flavor profile changed quite a bit in the first few steeps. It's sort of stabled out to a more, as Denny describes it, like bark molasses wood profile. Yeah, quite tasty.
Yeah. So Bev, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We always appreciate it. If you folks do want to connect with us and send us tea, you can get in touch on email, tdbteadborg@gmail.com. Of course, check out the website, tdb.org. That's tadb.org. Subscribe down below. Do all the things. What else?
That's it. Check out Bev's blog at listeningtoleaves.blogspot.com.
Please do so.
And I believe if you are in Vancouver, Canada, that's where she picked this tea up from, the Best Tea House. It's literally the name of the place.
Perfect.
So the aptly named Best Tea House, which is also a famous Hong Kong tea shop. So you can check them out too if you are interested in that.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And I know if you want to get a younger version of this, check out Yunnan Sourcing, and check out Scott over there. Tell him that we sent you over there. And appreciate you weirdos. Thanks for following. Like the video if you like the video. Comment, let us know. Subscribe, do those cool things. And we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers.